And we should be live. Mark just messaged me asking if there's a ComCom meeting, so if someone could ping him on that, that would be awesome. So with that, we should get in. Hold on, sorry. Video started in the background. We should get into the agenda, but before we do, we should go over the initiative update. So I'll start off real quick. The moderation team has had a few actions over the past week. There was a spam bot that was, or a spam user that was blocked, and a spam URL was redacted from the help repo. So I just wanted to make sure we got that covered. Beyond that, I think we're good on moderation. Any other initiatives want to share updates?
Go for it. Good. I can't raise a hand because I'm a panelist. Sure.
Go ahead.
I'll go ahead and go. So real quick, this week we have mentorship teaching. We've had an incredible amount of interest, and we've begun inviting those folks to Node Slackers. The admins at Node Slackers have been very gracious in accommodating everybody, and one of the admins there has actually volunteered to join the mentorship team. So we're building good connective tissue there with the community. And I put out an explicit request this past week for a bit more representation. We have a team of all men organizing right now, and Erin Spiceland has graciously agreed to join the mentorship team. She runs the local chapter Women Who Code, and is a fantastic mentor and leader. So very happy to have her joining that. We've had a couple of folks that have gotten indignant. Where's my mentor? And that really put up my alarms that we need to make sure that we have the right paths to dealing with exception state, dealing with anything that goes wrong before we put our volunteers, volunteer mentors and volunteer mentees in the potential path of harm's way. So meeting on that on Friday, building process, working on projects. Everyone's invited to come participate. What's up? That's it. Any questions?
Nope. Awesome. I can give a little review of website redesign and badges, I suppose. So Olivia announced that she is stepping back from both ComCom and managing website redesign. So Manil and I have taken over and stepped up as co-champions for the initiative. In the meeting last week, we continued discussing wireframes and talked about moving on from a more IA-focused discussion, finally digging in a little deeper into visual design and what the thing will actually look like at the end of the day. So to help with faster iterations and a tighter feedback loop, we started a channel in the Node Slackers group called Website Redesign. Feel free to join and throw in thoughts and ideas there. And also last week, we got an amazing demo from the RunKit folks about how we might be able to use their service to have live code demos on the site for both the API docs and the Getting Started docs. I will post a link to that in the chat, but it's also linked in the meeting minutes on the Node.js website redesign GitHub repo. On the badges sign, we failed spectacularly at scheduling a next meeting because even though it's only 4 of us, we have no overlapping times. So I'm going to revisit that after this meeting today. We did have good movement continued from the last meeting. We have a proposed first list of badges in priority order, and we are currently blocked from further design work from getting an extended color palette, which we have to coordinate with the website redesign team as well. So other than just the regular node grays and greens, we might need blues or yellows or red. So getting a standard color palette. We're going to get a proposal together and present it to both website redesign and badges initiative for approval. And if we feel like it, we can bring it to this group as well as a proposal if need be. That's all I got.
Awesome. Do we have any other updates from initiatives? Dan, we can't hear you.
I have a quick update to share on user feedback. Do we have I'm sorry, do we have an agenda item to go over the advisory group? Okay, I won't touch on that. What I do want to share with everybody, beyond the item that we're going to go in our agenda and discuss, the Node.js Foundation team has invited invited the user feedback group to share a live user feedback session like we did at Think at JS Interactive. So excited to do that. That is specifically centered around the enterprise. I'm actually thinking about doing proposing 2 sessions there, one enterprise focused and one general session, and push both of those in there, see if there's openness for that. And then the Benedict of the V8 team, forget Benedict's last name right now, is organizing a event at the end of June in Germany. I'll happen to be in Italy at the time, so I'm going to go up there and do a user feedback with European community folks and share that at that event. So
I didn't realize. I thought it was in Italy because from your discussion with him, I thought that was in Italy. So actually, I might.
Sorry, no, you got to go to Germany.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, that's not long after the JS Interact or JS Conf EU, yes. So I might just extend that trip extra long for that. So that makes sense. Okay, yeah, that's I would like to come to that if I could. So, okay. So, anything else we need to cover before we get into agenda items? I have one thing, but any other updates that we need to cover? Okay, so we started this meeting a little bit late. Time boxed it to 30 minutes. So I'm going to say 12:30, not 30 minutes from the start, because we do have a discussion that we need to have in the private session around work that's going on, and we want to make sure we get to it. So we're time boxing this down to 30 minutes, the public session. So with that, I think we can get started and go into the agenda items. So first, let me pull up the issue again. First item on the agenda is the user feedback thing. So Dan, do you want to give an update on that? Sorry, I'm throwing you into that real quick.
And I'm back. Sorry. All right. Closing the loop that it was started earlier this year around the what was named the Enterprise Advisory Group. So the user feedback initiative has been successful to build up steam. We have actually the first sketch of process in place to document and extend and share amongst team members how we're doing user feedback, and really happy with that. And the Enterprise Advisory Group, there were objections, there's some concerns, and there's no real champion right now for that. So to close that loop, what I've proposed is our next meeting, so Friday the 30th-ish, we'll have those folks join us in user feedback, join the regular sort of public user feedback session that we've run now several times, and introduce them to that process. And then we're going to have a private session at the end of that session and basically say, hey, this is a proven process, accepted and bought into by the ComCom and the Node.js project. Would you like to go forward with this? Since you don't have any further champion. So my expectation is that at the conclusion of our meeting next Friday, we will very likely shutter that group and close its chapter and close the repos and sort of clean. There've been requests, all right, what's going on? Please clean this up. So following that meeting, following consensus with those folks, the expectation we can close the assets around that. And if anyone has any concerns, you're most welcome to join that public session. It'll be at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern on Friday.
And in fact, I guess we're making a broader call to say, hey, if, in the TSC meeting, I said, hey, if people are interested or available, please come. And I think the same applies to this group.
Please. Yep.
We've found, it's, I'll make the pitch that we found it very interesting to hear directly from the people. And I think having more people from the project hear that directly would be even better. So
I can definitely say I learned a lot in the last 2 that we've had. So definitely an interesting thing if you can make it and if you're interested. Cool. Anyone have anything they'd like to say on that? Cool. Okay, then I think we can move on to our next item. Travel fund approval being careful about funds available. So Tracy, I don't know if this has had any different movement or if it's more of just an FYI right now. Do you have any insight into that?
What's the item? Sorry.
The travel fund, being aware of usage of travel fund.
I don't think there's any further movement.
So I'll add in my 2 cents. Yeah. Is the last discussion was around getting a volunteer to manage it.
Yes.
And Jem, I think, had volunteered. Miles was really pushing to get somebody from the foundation, a foundation resource to do that since it involves money. And I think that's kind of where it's a little bit stuck, is that, we need to figure out which model we're going to, can we find somebody from the foundation? Is that what we want to do? And then, they own it, or is, Jem, who graciously volunteered, going to run with it?
And I'm at a point where I'm happy to work with somebody from the foundation, but I think we need to have the person from that side.
Yeah, so I think what we need to do is I will check with Miles, but if it hasn't been sent, we will send an email with Jem to Mark, because Mark can facilitate that. There is someone at the foundation who should be able to help with this now, but Mark has to authorize that work. So it makes a lot of sense because I was doing that internally before, but you still need people within the project who are coordinating on our side. So I think the treasurer conversation with Jem and someone else with TSC is still very valid. And there's other reasons that we would also need a treasurer. So we'll just continue that on. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of making sure the PRs don't hang out there too long and actually even landing them, which I don't know that the person from the foundation, we'd have to give them right access to the repo to let them do that, which they wouldn't have by default, right?
Right. That's, and historically the project has been hesitant for good reason to grant, permissions to someone who hasn't just earned that through, contributing themselves. So,
so yeah, partnership makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
So I know that Tracy Lee and this dot recently onboarded into the Node.js Foundation to help with community stuff. And Anne-Marie Tong is the individual who's running point on that. So my hope is that once they're up to speed, that they can be that liaison. Yeah. It may just be a bit of waiting as they're onboarded. And,
yeah, I just didn't know whether that was public yet. That's why I was dancing around it.
It is.
We also talked 2 meetings ago about there being reports from the foundation side about where the funds are at basically. And I remember when Mark was on the call, he mentioned that those reports come out around the 15th of every month. So we're just past that now. I'm not sure if there would be a report for last month that I should be aware of or that we should be aware of.
Okay.
I'm totally throwing her under the bus, but Zibby, do you know?
Reports on like how much funds we have?
Well, the status specifically of the travel fund request, that fund.
I don't know, but I'll follow up with Mark on that.
Yeah, because one of the other hesitations I was seeing in that thread was around, and maybe this is just my reading into it, but a hesitation around approving funds requests without having the clear view of what's in the budget still. So.
Okay. Yeah, I can follow up on that. And then I know Tracy, you said you were going to work with Miles to just make sure we have the request that you need to send to Mark for approval on getting Node.js Foundation into that. If you can just include me on that request as well. Sure. So in case the travel funds question is still open, I can add that in since it's all a part of the same process. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep, sounds good. I think Jim's typing he his minutes as well. So
I have to make sure I don't forget this.
Okay. So are we good on that? And do we have anything else we need to say or want to say on that? Okay. So with that, sorry, I went down the rabbit hole of Brooklyn.js and their budget.js file. On that, I think we can go to the next issue, which right now, so add Node Slack community to scope. I will say we have 8 minutes left, so just in our time box, I just want to make sure we're aware of that. Michael or Tracy, do you want to update on this? Because I know y'all were involved in that. I know there was, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought the latest discussion seemed to be moving towards that there was an expectation that moderation would need to be the moderators in the Slack. And I think there's still some lack of clarity around that the admins of the Slack have taken responsibility and acknowledged that they will apply the Node code of conduct, and also have multiple admins in that group now from either the moderation team or from like the Node org itself, including some ComCom members.
Yeah, it was discussed in the TSC meeting yesterday. And, you know, we tried to make that case that it's like, you know, it would be nice to have our moderators do the moderation in all of the public spaces, but we just don't have enough people to make that happen. So our alternative is to do nothing. And so I was trying to make the case that it's better to try and build up, like this is a case where we're experimenting with another group agreeing to follow our moderation practices.
Yeah.
And it's better to try and see if we can trust them to do that. And then therefore that's better than not doing anything, right?
Yeah. So that also sort of misapplies what the moderation team does, because everyone who is a collaborator, really anyone who's contributing, has the ability to moderate, but anybody who's a collaborator has the tools to moderate. It's that the moderation team has elevated permissions to do the escalated moderating when needed. So to say that like the moderation team of the Node project needs to be the moderators in the Slack seems ill-fitted.
Yeah, I mean, so what I was trying to make the case is that even if that was in the perfect world, we had enough people to always do that.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen anyway. So and I had an action, so I put in an extra blurb of text into the end of the issue to sort of say, this is what we're trying to say. Like, it's worthwhile supporting organizations who are willing to comply with our moderation practices. And, you know, this is our first attempt at doing that, and we should support them. And one of the ways we're supporting them is by adding them to the list here that, you know, the people that are there.
Yeah, and I do think it's worth noting that a lot of Node.js's success was by grassroots communities, and this is a grassroots community, and enabling them in our project was one of the original goals that, to my understanding, of the ComCom. And while this is a little different, it's still, I think, within that vein.
I mean, I think it's sort of, I think what Michael is saying is perfect, is these are places that we recognize are properly applying the code of conduct. We can always take that away, but like Slack is not the only place doing that. Like IRC, you know, the Node dev channel is great and well moderated. Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of the pushback is some people feel that we are taking this on as a problem forever, and we're owning it. And I think that misperception of it is what we're really up against. So I don't know how we really alleviate that, except for just to keep reiterating it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other concern voiced, which I think is again a bit of a different topic, was the concern over, is Slack the right choice, right? And does this now make it the official scope? So we tried to clarify, this in no way says that this is the official communication channel for the project. It's just one of the many ones. We can still feel free to choose another one of the options like Discord or whatever else and make that the official channel if we decide to do that. This is not tied or related to that in any way.
Right.
Yeah, I like to compare it more to like not a communication channel. Just say somebody could disagree that Node School is the wrong program,
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
But that's not the support we give Node School. We promote it, we say it's a great thing, and that's the limitation of it. And I feel this is the same sort of thing.
And we have it in education. We mention it in places because we know that it's a good place to send people generally.
Yeah, it's sharing the burden of community. And also lifting up others, and not saying we are the one and only community. This is, where you go. We're making sure to promote others' work and lift them up rather than ignore them.
So I think the way forward is to just for people to continue to jump in to try and make the case here to say, yes, we should do this. And at some point, we may have to go back and say, okay, this is, we've been discussing this for long enough. We need a vote or we need something to close on the issue. Because I don't think it's like there's not a large number of people objecting. It's just we need to close on the last couple, either address the concerns or decide, that we're going to take a vote or whatever.
In that doc, it looks like there's no objections. Like there's no -1, like in the actual GitHub
reviews, right?
Maybe that was removed because that one
really nice
was, so that that somebody has gone ahead dismissed. So
well, that's great news. Land it. Sorry.
Yeah, I think you're right. We should go back and look at it, and if maybe the next step. Anyway, I'd have to look more carefully. But if the objections have been removed, it may be just a comment saying, "Hey, it looks like objections have been removed. We're planning to land this in the next X days unless people object."
Yeah, I think just give it 48 hours and say, unless there's an objection, exactly what you said. Don't need to read it.
I don't know if we need to. I don't think anything longer for how long it's been out. If there are no objections.
Yeah, sounds reasonable.
Great.
Cool. Sorry, I'm managing too many things at once. Okay, so we have 1 minute till our time box ends. So I think we're probably not going to get to the issues in mentorship, unfortunately. So with that, I think we're probably going to end the live stream here. We will next time prioritize those ones to the top, just as a matter of care for that repo and that work.
Is there some work that we could do there by all of us going and looking at the issues, or is it discussions that need to occur?
That would probably be helpful. Dan, you know more about those issues than I do. I believe it's not in here. Dan, do you know anything about those specific issues? The 3 there. We can't hear you.
Sorry, I was away looking at the screen. The other screen. So the mentorship, active members, we've tied that. We've got folks from the moderation team coming on Friday, and we do need input. So this is a great opportunity. Website too. If you have folks that you want on board to your team, if you need team members, the mentees that are volunteering to participate and work with mentors for 6 months could find a home in your team. So that last item, if you have specific tasks or projects that folks could participate on and engage in, please raise your hand there and let us know, and we'll work with you to incorporate that in our first cohort of mentees.
Yeah, I even thought that the call there was for people to volunteer to come up with ideas of how to do that.
That's what we're doing. And so if you add your suggestions to that issue or join us tomorrow, we'll be able to carry that forward. That's a top priority concern.
Okay, so that's, I wasn't clear that was the top discussion item for tomorrow, so maybe I'll try and make it.
Great.
Sounds good. Okay, with that, I think we're going to end our public session and go into our private session. So for everyone on the live stream, thank you for joining, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
All right,
Bye.
bye. Thank you.